Hello and welcome to What Culture Combat. I am Gareth Morgan. I'm here to deliver you all of today's wonderful, fantastic news. We've got a few things to go through today, a few things to run down. We've got Israel Adesanya. He announced on the Ariel Nawani show that he is now going to be going one-on-one, face-to-face with the boogeyman of the division, Yoel Romero. Now, obviously, Romero, he didn't do too well against Paulo Costa recently. Paulo Costa was originally apparently scheduled up to face Israel Adesanya for that newly won middleweight crown. But he's just, Adesanya's literally gone, right, I'm going to look for the biggest dog in the room. Adesanya, I'm going to go for Romero. Darren Till even came out recently and said, why the hell would I call out Romero? Romero's this absolute monster. He's probably the indomitable beast of the division, even though he was beaten by Paulo Costa. That's kind of going back a little bit there. But that was, if you watched that fight last year, that was an absolute war. It could have gone either way. A lot of people actually thought that Romero won that fight. So this probably could work out for the best in terms of like a matchup that many people have been dying to see. It kind of falls into the narrative for Adesanya right now, where he's saying that he wants to take on anybody and all comers. There's obviously been rumors. He's trying to conjure up a fight with John Jones as well. I don't know if that's going to happen anytime in the near future, but the guy's smart, the guy's intelligent, and he's using this platform right now to try and get the biggest fights. And if he can get a scalp like Romero under his belt this early on in his career, let's not forget, up until maybe a year ago, he wasn't actually signed with the UFC. He was just kind of come in, he brought in as a kind of unknown, let's say, fighter, an unknown talent, unknown commodity, and he's literally become a superstar. He sold out a stadium, for God's sake. Like, him and Whittaker, 55,000 in the Marvel Stadium, that's not exactly an overnight sensation, but it's pretty close. Like, the guy's a superstar, bona fide superstar, so we can get a scalp like this under his belt very early on. The sky could be the limit for Israel Adesanya, and obviously, as you can tell, I'm quite the fan of the last style bender. Right, so, moving on. We have also got Ryan Hall today. Ryan Hall has come out. Obviously, he's a former Ultimate Fighter winner, and he now currently sits at 4-0 in the UFC. He's had 3 decision wins, so obviously not a lot of kind of emphatic knockout submission wins. He's quite the grappler, obviously. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu legend, really, in his own books, but he's struggling, apparently. He's announced on Instagram that he's struggling to find worthy opposition. Now, that is a bold claim from a guy who, well, he's done very well. He's obviously undefeated in the UFC, but let's say the biggest guy he's actually probably took on right now and done well against is probably BJ Penn. And obviously he did tap him out with that incredible heel hook submission. If you've not seen that, check that out. That is brutal. BJ Penn's obviously a legend, an absolute veteran of the sport, and he made him tap. So the guy's legit. The guy's the real deal. But I digress. On Instagram, he came out and he claimed that Frankie Edgar and Josie Aldo are 2 people for whom courage won't ever be an issue. And it's for that reason I have looked up to both since I first saw them compete years ago. Maybe one of them will be willing to step in to show everybody else how it's done. Pick the time and place, boys. I'll be there. So that's a huge, huge call out for a guy who, obviously, like I said, he's on a bit of a streak right now, but those 2 names, they're ranked higher than him in the division. Frankie Edgar is one hell of a fighter, obviously, as we know, one of the all-time legends. And then in terms of Jose Aldo, up until a few years ago, he's been talked about as arguably the greatest featherweight of all time. I mean, if he fights either one of these guys, he's going to be, and he wins, let's say if he wins, because obviously these aren't slouches. Yeah, they may be coming off kind of iffy records in recent times. Like, obviously, Frankie Edgar didn't do very well against Korean Zombie. He got that first round TKO loss. And Jose Aldo went down to bantamweight recently, and again, probably like another controversial decision, but he did lose. So it'd be an interesting bout. I think it would be. And obviously, if Ryan can manage to get the wins somehow against one of these mega names, he then starts climbing up that ladder, starts climbing up those rankings a little bit, and then you never know. Maybe towards the end of this year, he could be going up against somebody like Volkanovski. He could be another challenger for Holloway if he does get the belt back, because obviously I think the talk is right now of Holloway taking on Volkanovski again in this second fight, which I would not be against, because that's one hell of a fight, and I think we all want to see that. So we're going to go on to our last bit of news today, which involves the absolute, probably, well, he was. For me, he was the fighter of 2019, Jorge, I can't even say his name, Jorge Masvidal. I'm good at this, as you can tell. But he says he's come out recently and criticized his former teammate. It's now former, according to this article, spoiler, Colby Covington. Obviously, the 2 used to be pals, used to be friends, used to be roomies, all the rest of it. But Covington has just, he's not really gone about making friends, has he, the last year or 2. So Masvidal has come out and he said that since the scrap, where Covington obviously lost recently against Usman in his welterweight championship fight, he said, when asked about Covington being back at ATT, that's American Top Team, he said, who? As soon as he got his jaw broken, no man. So that is a reply to the fact that he's not been there. He's not been at American Top Team since that loss. And according to Masvidal, Covington shouldn't actually be worried about Masvidal alone. He should actually be worried about Dustin Poirier. Pretty much said that Poirier is not in the mood to see Covington in that place. He's not got any real friends in American Top Team right now. It's probably best if he just stayed back home and got his jaw kind of rejigged back into place. And then, yeah, I don't know where he's going to be training after this now. Where is he going to call home? He's in a bit of trouble, really, because obviously he had a hell of a fight against Usman. Usman did well and he dismantled him really towards the end, but Covington was, a lot of people had that fight going towards Covington towards the end, so a lot say that if he actually would have been able to get through the end of that fight, he could have potentially become the champ. So I imagine that when he is fully back to full health, nursed back to full health, he's probably going to want a rematch. I think he's maybe entitled to a rematch. I don't know. You comment in the section below if you don't think he is and who you probably want to see Usman place. From the talks of it, Conor McGregor has also put his name into that hat, saying that he'd want a shot at Usman. But Usman actually came out the other day. I'm just going to go back to my notes here. He actually came out the other day and saw it as a bit of a mismatch. Obviously, McGregor called him out in an interview recently. And he said, yeah, I like the look of that welterweight division, and I would fancy a little shot at Usman down the line. Usman himself actually said it's a mismatch. He said, imagine him fighting me. And that was after he said he got absolutely mauled and brutalized by Khabib. What do you think could happen when he takes on me? Big, big words. Obviously, Usman's a big guy, but I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see how McGregor gets. So that's another topic entirely. We'll have to see how McGregor gets on when he takes on Cerrone and see, like, he might be able to conjure up a bit more power from those strikes and knock down Cerrone, and then he's really putting himself back into contention for another title, and he could become a triple champion in the UFC, which is quite big. So I think they are all the news updates that we're going to cover today. Obviously, if there's anything else you'd like to talk about in the comments section below, we are more than happy to have a chat with you guys all about there. But I have been Gareth from What Culture Combat, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.